Madam Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Members. This afternoon I will be making a ministerial statement on one aspect of my ministry, and that is in relation to employment and employment relations. Some aspects of this have already been covered by the response to the question that was posed to me this morning. But employment and employment relations is at the very core of the ministry, and it is also now being recognized internationally as a core part of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Under that development agenda, the SDG 8 is focused on decent work and economic growth. So it is showing that in terms of sustainable development, employment and decent work in particular is at the very heart of this. Under the SDG 8, it has a number of targets, which are also the targets that we have taken on in government in general, but also in particular in my ministry. SDG 8 includes targets on economic growth targets, the need for higher value-added industries and labor-intensive sectors, so that we don't just have economic growth, but we have job-rich growth. The need for growth in micro, small and medium enterprises, the need to decouple economic growth from economic degradation to make sure that we conserve the resources. I think a lot of discussions so far today have been focused on that. And the need also to target full and productive employment for all, including women and the disabled. And also the need to address youth unemployment, which is a major issue, not just in Fiji, but all around the world, especially since the 2008 global financial crisis. And last, one of the last targets that's included there is the need to eradicate forced labor and modern slavery, which is still prevalent in many parts of the world. Employment is now a major challenge all around the world. The World Employment Social Outlook Trends that was produced by the ILO in 2016, for 2016, showed that global unemployment is expected to rise by nearly 2.3 million in 2016 and by a further 1.1 million in 2017. And there are a number of issues that have been identified as that are going to be of key concern as we talk about employment in the future. And these are, first of all, the changes in technology. As technology changes, skills become obsolete, plant and machinery becomes obsolete, the way in which we do things become obsolete, so all countries will need to be able to adjust to that. Secondly, climate change. Climate change is now realized as something that will threaten employment. We've been talking about fisheries so far. There are so many people that are reliant on the fishing industry, on agriculture, and all of these industries, and the people that are employed in these industries, the agro-processing, the fish processing, all of those people will be impacted by climate change. Aging population. Many of our target markets all around the world now have aging population, so they have the difficulty of having the people within their countries to produce the goods and services that they will need. That will also give opportunities for countries like ours, which is a young population, to provide workers into these countries. And also struggling economy. So those are the issues that are impacting employment today, and something that we will continue to focus on. In terms of the Bainimarama government, which was before the Fiji First government now, the Bainimarama government and the Fiji First government, our major strategy towards employment has remained the same. And that is the belief that in order for us to look at the issue of employment, the thing that we have to address is economic growth. If you have economic growth, you are able to raise the employment rate, which is about 80%, which is comparable to the global best in terms of mediation successful resolution of problems. A quick resolution and settlement of employment grievances promotes good faith relations and productivity in the workplace. And the other aspect of resolving conflict between workers and their employers has been the establishment of the Employment Relations Tribunal. This Employment Relations Tribunal is no longer under the ministry of my ministry, it is now under the judiciary, but in order to speed up the processing of the cases that are with the Employment Relations Tribunal, they've appointed another 2 additional members of this tribunal so that they can have more people listening to the cases, trying to resolve the cases, to speed up the cases so that the backlogs are addressed. The last topic that I will probably address today, Madam Speaker, is the issue of national minimum wage and also the issue of our wage regulation orders. In Fiji, we have a workforce slightly in excess of 300,000. I think in the vicinity of around 350,000. There's probably about 110 to 120,000 that are in the formal sector, where they get wages and salary. So, of the workers that are unionized in Fiji, there's probably around 25,000, in the vicinity of 25,000. So the vast majority of people that are employed in Fiji are still in the informal sector or subsistence sector. It's about, from the 300,000, 350 plus thousand in the workforce, 120,000 are in the formal sector, the rest are in the informal sector. Just before the elections of 2014, the then Bainimarama government delivered its promise to deliver Fiji's first ever national minimum wage. This national minimum wage was meant to capture all of those that are not captured under the collective agreements that are negotiated between the union and the employer, or that are outside the wage regulation orders. Wage regulation orders had been set up in 10 different sectors. It established minimum remunerations in those 10 different sectors. But for everybody else that fell outside the scope of this, the national minimum wage came into being in 2014 for the very first time. They're the first ever government to do this, to make sure that those that did not have a voice, that were in the informal sector, tried to capture them. But when you come up with a national minimum wage, you have to do it very carefully. Because you see, national minimum wage, it includes the person that is washing your dishes at home, the person that is farming in your cassava patch, the person that you pay to go and wage your cassava patch. He also, you cannot pay a wage that is below him, below that for him. So when you set it, you also have to take into account that the minimum that people can pay. So the national minimum wage came into account in 2014, and then it was revised in 2015. In 2015, it was revised up to $2.32. Also in 2015, the wage regulation orders that I have here were revised again for the 10 different sectors. The wage regulation orders had been revised in 2011, 2012, and again in 2015. So when the national minimum wage was revised in 2015, Cabinet decided at that time, in 2015, that this new national minimum wage would be revised again. This process to revise the national minimum wage is now underway. We are now in that process of revising the national minimum wage. We've made a commitment to do that. The national minimum wage will be revised. It will be done in a very consultative way, and at the same time, we'll be revising all the wage regulation orders for all these different sectors that we have. For security, for manufacturing, for printing, for building and civil engineering, for roads, sawmilling and logging, hotel, mining and quarrying, wholesale and retail and garment, all of these different sectors. The Honorable Leader of the NFP had pointed out that there was something to do with the wage levels within the TCF sector and the national minimum wage. That is something that we will also be addressing as we look at the revision of the national minimum wage by the end of this year. The policy intent of the national minimum wage and the wage regulation order is towards a fair distribution of the productivity gains in the workplace and to reduce income inequality. And at the same time, we will be focused on ensuring Fiji's sustainability and competitiveness. Any time that we try to revise the national minimum wage or wage regulation orders, we need to have two things in mind. We want to uplift the standards of the workers that are getting these wages. At the same time, we do not want to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. And that is the private sector, the companies that look after them. So in anything that we do, we will make sure that at the end of the day, we are trying to make sure that Fiji's industries remain competitive. At the same time, we uplift the living standards of those that work for these organizations. Madam Speaker, decent and productive work remains the core of my minister's role. Employment is core and central to our long-term sustainability, and we will continue to focus on this particular aspect. I must also say that in closing, as I mentioned before, climate change is a major factor in employment. And that is why, from our ministry, we applaud the role that the Honourable Prime Minister has now taken in waving the banner of climate change and fighting that. Because he's doing that, he's therefore playing a key role to try to maintain life itself. I think climate change for us in the Pacific, it's about life itself. Some of our countries could totally disappear. And we know, we appreciate the Prime Minister do that, and I think for all of us, we need to be able to adapt and mitigate the factors that are leading to climate change. Many of our countries may be doomed to oblivion. We cannot sit by and play our fiddles while Rome burns. We must act. That is what the Prime Minister is doing, and all of us should support him. Thank you, Madam Speaker.